For Global Business Update, Michael Wilson joins us now from London. Good morning, Michael.
Good morning. Very happy May Day to you. And on that note, it is May Day today, the 1st of May, and it's also Labour Day in many countries, or May Day in lots of other countries as well, which means that the majority of the markets are closed today. However, there are some exceptions, Japan and Australia, both of which are up very marginally. Japan had the softest contraction in its PMI figures. I mean, that's putting a gloss on it, but basically that's the figure from them. As far as China is concerned, again, no market action there, but their factory production has slumped considerably in April. And so people are still looking for signs of this post-COVID liftoff as far as the economy is concerned. But the bright spot that's keeping the Chinese economy going is the service sector, which expanded. Although the economy expanded less than expected, the service sector is definitely and absolutely keeping it going. Now I'm going to move to New York, but I'm staying with the Far East, if you like, Asia Pacific, because this is SoftBank, and SoftBank's ARM flotation is going to take place. We don't know the exact date. We think that the IPO is going to be a blockbuster, $8 to $10 billion to be raised, but it will take place in New York, and it's London's considerable loss. As far as the US is concerned, again, a good week last week for the Dow, up about 272 points. The futures, though, relatively flat, basically, as far as the rest of the markets are concerned. Half of the S&P 500 companies actually reporting more than 72%, more than beating expectations of analysts considerably. First Republic, again, now over the weekend, it's been a very, very busy weekend for the US regulators. They're looking for a bank to come in. It looks like it could be JP Morgan Chase. It might be PNC. And it might be Citizen Bank as well. All three have been notified over the weekend. They've been expressing some kind of interest in First Republic, but the point being that they don't want to allow this to collapse. Tech stocks have been doing reasonably well. Amazon, Google, Microsoft, all of which they are facing spending cuts as far as their clients are concerned, but they've been keeping investors happy simply because they've been actually cutting their own costs. That's been the important thing about tech so far. I'll give you some. I make no apologies for this being slightly old news, but I wasn't able to bring it to you on Friday. These are the ExxonMobil results. Profits 11.4 billion for the first quarter. That's into record, despite the fact they were hit by a windfall tax. Chevron exactly the same, also hit by a windfall tax. And even though the price of oil has been falling, these companies have been doing extremely well. So, given that there's not a load of action today, but let's look at the week ahead because it's going to be very busy. We got the Fed, we got the ECB likely to increase interest rates by about 0.5%. Now, the Apple, what will Apple tell us? It's probably going to be one of its weakest quarters as far as since the pandemic began. £22.6 billion. They're estimated to be making in the first quarter profit. But again, who's going to buy the iPhones? This is going to be absolutely crucial for them. And their results come out on Thursday. A lot of transport stocks this week as well. BMW, Volkswagen, Ferrari and Stellantis, and also Airbus, Air France and Lufthansa. So we'll be finding out a great deal about how people are beginning to travel or not, as the case may be, and what the future for electric vehicles is seen in the short term. So a big week ahead. That is the global view this morning.
Real quickly, I think it was Dr. Abati that asked you a question last week and said, are we not having a banking crisis on our hands? And you said, oh, probably we could go through it and all of that. First Republic Bank, the American regulators are looking for buyers to buy that bank. As far as they're concerned, the bank is on its knees. SVB will remember what happened at the other bank. So in the space of 2 months, 3 to 4 banks have gone down the line, and many to still go in America. Is that something they are not telling us?
Well, the Fed would say to you, as a result of what they think has been some quite important self-examination, they didn't act quickly enough as far as SVB was concerned. That's one of the features of their internal report, which was a self-examination by a gentleman called Michael Barr, who is the vice chairman of supervision of the Fed. His report is saying the Fed didn't act quickly enough as far as SVB is concerned. I think what's happening here is that the regulators are trying to make sure that there is no systemic failure in the bank in the bank sector, and they're looking for buyers for First Republic, which has seen a great exit of depositors from it. So, I mean, you can pick what you think about whether the Fed was quick enough or not. Its self-examination is saying it was too slow off the mark. I think what you've been seeing over the weekend is an attempt to make sure that there is no further action across the banking sector apart from First Republic, which may go to one of the three banks that I've already mentioned to you.
All right, Michael, thank you very much. And let me take it a little away from, but this time going to projections. It's the week of the coronation in the United Kingdom. So coronation weekend upon us on Saturday. The King Charles III will be coronated. Now, in terms of business sense, because the UK is going to get another bank holiday, what are the chances for retailers for this weekend? Would it justify the extra bank holiday that you'll get to enjoy in the UK?
No, I mean, I don't. But then again, and neither do you? Because we're all working, aren't we? And I feel as though this is something which is beginning to pile up. Soon we'll be a bit like France, won't we? With most weekends, there's absolutely nothing happening at all. I think that, as far as the coronation is concerned, when King Charles III is crowned, as he will be on Saturday, there'll be general rejoicing. I mean, it's a big part. It's a big part of the world will be watching, and of course we will all be watching here in the UK, and it's a big thing for us. In terms of adding to the GDP, no, I don't think so. I don't think it have any effect whatsoever. I'm sure that many people welcome the fact there's another bank holiday. I'm sure there are people around who are saying, so what? I mean, my maxim is, if you're working when other people aren't working, then you're going to make money. I mean, that was bred into me at a very young age, and I feel that catering and all those kind of service industries will do extremely well over a bank holiday, even though manufacturing may stop.
Well, precisely the point that the Daily Mail is making this morning, that the coronation will add about £1 billion to struggling parts of the economy. But I wanted to ask you quickly about this week. It's a busy week for central banks. We're expecting the Federal Reserve of Australia to make a statement about rates on Tuesday, the Federal Reserve, US, on Wednesday, and the European Central Bank on Thursday. What do you think we should be expecting? And then secondly, Alibaba is taking up a visiting professorship position at Tokyo University. Well, you think you will have the time to teach?
Well, I mean, the Daily Mail has to sell newspapers. I wouldn't take a great deal of notice of I don't know where they get £1 billion from. I have to say, I really don't know. As far as Alibaba is concerned, I think it's quite interesting, isn't it? How that company, which you feel as though took the weight of Chinese tech regulation on its shoulders, is now beginning to branch out a little. I have no idea what the confluence of those two of those particular minds will be. But I mean, if Japan is looking to expand its economy, then it could do worse to expand its tech. Although I suspect it's probably fairly advanced in that.
Yeah, I asked about the central banks, Reserve Bank of Australia, the Federal Reserve, and the European Central Bank.
Obviously, I think I mean, I suspect the Fed is probably thinking, and again, we'll think about some of the corporate figures when we get them. That its fight against inflation is probably okay. I mean, we've seen growth faltering. We saw those jobs figures and so on. So we're seeing that. As far as the ECB is concerned, I think it's not a bang on certainty there will be an interest rate rise there. I think what we're generally seeing, and it's only general, is that central banks are gradually softening off a little to allow global growth. But again, these things take a long time to go. So it will be an interesting week. I don't know whether we'll be drawing conclusions from it. Let's see how the week pans out. But certainly a major week for the financial markets, no question.
Well, thank you very much, Michael Wilson. We'll take a short break now. When we return, the conversation will continue. Stay with us. Welcome back to the morning show here on the Arise News Channel. Now for business updates across the African continent. Rotus Oddiri joins us. Good morning, Rotus.
Morning, Doctor. Good morning, Ayo. Good morning. Happy May Day. Happy May Day month.
My friend.
Yes. Thank you so much. And good morning to our viewers as well. Yeah, so look, around 9 o'clock last night, on a Sunday night, the administration released an achievement list, pretty much a report card on everything that the administration has achieved for the last 8 years. And it's a 91-page document, pretty long Word document that they put through. No charts or anything, it was just a Word document, fact sheets looking at what has been done. So if you look at the good expansion of the social register, as far as conditional cash transfers are concerned, signing of the Petroleum Industry Act, commitment to rail infrastructure, the Anchor Borrowers Program, PEBEC, Presidential Enabling Business Environment Council. Again, it's not exhaustive, but then this is pretty much what I could glean from what they put together. As far as the other side of the coin, there was you guys remember the Bills, Bills, Bills song from Destiny's Child? Do you remember that yeah. So there was an there was such a heavy emphasis on bills. He just kept talking about the bills that had been signed, this bill, that bill, this bill, that bill. And, as far as the impact assessment, there wasn't really, the fact sheet was lacking. So if you take a look at the other side, as far as the bad is concerned, for this, as I said, overemphasis on bills signed, little to no impact assessment, no total jobs created with a sector breakdown, right?
Never.
No mention of the exchange rate or inflation.
Never.
And then poverty alleviation figures didn't give that. You remember the president said he wanted to lift, was it 10 million or 100 million people out of poverty. As far as the jobs that were mentioned, the document is so long, I just did a Control F and search for jobs and just went for everywhere they mentioned jobs. So 10,000 jobs from their mass metering program. This is where they said, that's what they put. Delivering meters, and they've only done 1 million meters. The gap is so wide. They said they created 10,000 jobs from delivering meters. And I said,
was it a contract job? Was it a long-term job?
That's the question, Ayo. We're talking about quality jobs and long-term jobs. There's no breakdown. It just says 10,000 jobs created. And another 11,000 jobs from the rail modernization project. So the rail infrastructure they've been putting across. Again, that does sound like contract. Then look, this was another one that was interesting. The housing program, and we'll get to the housing in a second, but they said they created 64,000 direct and indirect jobs from housing. I said, fine, we'll just add that as well. Then this other one, I said, let me just be fair to them, let me add it as well. They said there was 34,000 jobs from their agriculture for food and jobs program. What they did there, they said they trained 34,000 graduates across all the local government areas, and they equipped them with an app that allowed them to use satellite positioning for the farmers to show where their plots of land were.
And how much were they being paid?
I don't know, but they said it was 34,000 of them that were trained. So I said, okay, fine, we'll just add it. In total, that's 119,000 jobs if you add everything.
For 8 years?
For 8 years.
Woo!
Now, if you the number of entrants that come into our labor market is 4 to 5 million per year. So 4 million times 8 years per year, that's about what, 32 million jobs, 32 million openings that you need. If you use 5 million, that's 40 million openings, and you're doing 119,000. Anyway, We go to housing. This was very interesting. 5,000 homes in 34 states under the National Housing Program, and then 13,000 homes in 9 states under the Family Homes Fund Limited. You put that together, that's 18,000 homes, right? Over 8 years, which that comes to about 2,000 homes a year. The deficits, our housing deficit has been estimated to be 17 million, but I hear that it could be even higher than that. It should be 27, 34 million. Just as a point of comparison, the ANC in South Africa, between 1994 and 2018, they built 3.2 million homes, right? On average, you divide 3.2 million, that's in 1994 to 2018 is 24 years. That is 113,000 homes per year that were built over in South Africa. So you think about the deficit and the comparison to the other nations, it's just really low.
Even Shagari, in 5 years, Shagari built close to 30,000 homes. That's 40 years ago. So Shagari even did better.
So again, this is from their fact sheet. This is again data from their fact sheet. And then I think there was a letter. I don't know if you've read this letter yet to the Nigerian Bar Association, because it's Workers' Day, so you got to talk about workers, right? Workers' Day message from the president. I pulled one particular excerpt from this, which I thought was very interesting. It says, the president said, "I therefore call on the incoming administrations at federal and state government levels to initiate, reinvigorate, and focus on policies that promote inclusiveness, protect SMEs, grow the middle class, and prioritize infrastructure development." All of that is missing from the very same fact sheet that they put forward. Then he said the federal government must take special care not to subject Nigeria. This was very interesting. The federal government must take special care not to subject Nigerians to harsh repercussions of hasty and untested policies. Hello, border closure. Hello, Naira redesign policy. With the right tools and incentives, Nigeria will take its rightful place in the Committee of Nations. In addition to the foregoing, there must be increased accountability on subsidy spendings. The misappropriation and circumvention of monies earmarked for subsidies, especially petrol subsidy, must be treated as economic sabotage, and those found culpable must be prosecuted. Highly interesting there, but that's our updates for.
Rotus, real quickly, you see, the truth is, we love this country so much, and everything we say here has a lot of love and a high level of objectivity for this country, and we want it to do well. And when it doesn't do well, we have to talk. I saw that list, 99, pretty much reminds you of 99 Problem.
Yeah, by Prince, right? The songs also.
If you got girl problems, I feel bad for your son. I got 99 problems out of it. Amy?
Yeah. Okay.
So the 90-page document, goodness me. Why do we keep joking with our country? Look at the quality of jobs provided by an administration that says he was going to do 3 to 4 million jobs every year. So, and I put this out on Twitter. I think the minister and the minister of state for jobs, if they could focus more on jobs rather than playing on Twitter, they could partner with Jobberman, have a holistic job framework to be able to liaise with some companies and be able to train via internet and take credit for some job created. That will go a long way down these 119K jobs that they said they've done. Do you know how many people have gotten jobs on Jobberman in the last 8 years? Just an internet site.
Yeah.
And we joke too much in this country. I would have thought that they should also get payroll data.
You've been calling for this thing forever.
So it's as easy as that. So that's why they can't get sectoral data. They need to get payroll data. They're the Ministry of Job and Employment. Talk to all the companies. Tell them to give you their payroll data, so you can be able to know how many people were employed and increase, so you can get an accurate number. When I saw the list of achievements, I saw that they said, rail line. Rail line, yes, but you couldn't put the infrastructure for security in the Kaduna rail line.
Couldn't.
You talked about the Siemens deal. I'm like, gobsmack it. God help my soul. The Siemens deal that all the parameters you didn't meet.
Still haven't been delivered. Yeah.
Still haven't been delivered. Where's the power? You talked about the bill. Yes, kudos to them on the bill. Kudos on Karma. They did a lot of work on Karma. They did a lot of work on finance bill. They did a lot of work on PIA. But the truth is, you've not still implemented it. So you fall short everywhere. And you see, I had some people in the spirit of comparison between Nigeria and South Africa. And they were making the comparison, South Africa too is having load shedding. I'm like, hello guys, let's talk with facts. With the way South Africa, normally South Africa would churn out 50 to 60,000 megawatts.
Yeah.
But with South Africa's load shedding, guess how much you're doing? 33,000 megawatts. If Nigeria does half of 33,000 megawatts,
we're in the money.
we are doing a whole lot better. So please don't compare yourself with South Africa. Those ones are doing way better. We just want our country to do well. And no hard feelings. If any administration does well, I'll be the one to blow their trumpet.
I mean, the numbers speak for themselves.
The numbers speak for you. Can't come and say in 8 years you were training people on metering, 119,000 jobs, and somebody in the ministry actually issued that out as part of the scorecard.
It's amazing.
Well, thank you very much for distilling the information. I'd like you to go to the good fact sheet, because it's interesting that, yes, we must praise where it's necessary, and if you won't do the praising for them, they'd release their fact sheet for you. I also hope that governors who are outgoing, and even for those who are going for their second term, would release a fact sheet like that, or perhaps will have time to analyze the economic achievements in the states as they're exiting, or perhaps continuing for a second term. But the unfortunate thing is that even with the good, which is not exhaustive, but each of them, there's a comma or K-leg in local parlance. Expansion of the social register. We cannot begin to speak about the controversies around this in terms of the names of those register. How did they come about it? Is it a true reflection of the social register? The signing of the Petroleum Industry Act, we've already talked about the fact that they're not even going by the exact tenet. I mean,
subsidy should be gone
what
under
they have
the Petroleum
said, they
Industry
have
Act.
recommended, the NEC has recommended that subsidy should not be gone yet, and they want to pass the burden on to the next administration. Commitment to rail infrastructure, we've talked about the security issues around that, but we must praise this particular administration, at least to a very large extent, their infrastructural development. Building of roads, the second Niger bridge will always be their legacy. Lagos-Ibadan Expressway, we must talk about that. So it's important to balance what they've done well, and also to point out what they could have definitely done better. Anchor Borrowers Program, can we start on that? We'll have a whole show talking about that. Have we addressed the issues around the default on the loans? The reason for the default on the loans, have they addressed that? The only thing I'll say in terms of creation of PEBEC, because PEBEC have been able to, but the great thing about PEBEC is what they were able to do in terms of advocacy. Many of the bills that we celebrate today, that Kama of 2020 was championed, really, championed by PEBEC itself. So we must give kudos to them. But guess what? Some MDAs frustrated some of their plans, some of their work, because they couldn't work in isolation. They had to work with ministries, departments, agencies of government, and unfortunately, and some governors, slow down their work. But so it's just interesting that we look at the fact sheet, and even the good, we've not looked at the bad yet. Right. Even the good, for each line item, there's something to pick out of it. We're looking forward again to the next administration, to the next government. They've made promises again around jobs, job creations. They made promises around the economy. Let's hope that they deliver, and we don't get this kind of fact sheet 4 years afterwards or 8 years afterwards.
Well, you see, every administration, when it is winding down, tries to provide its own record. Femi Adesina, in putting out a statement, says, look, Nigerians have not had it any better, and that President Muhammadu Buhari is leaving his footprints in the sands of time. And hence, the Presidential Communications team has provided this, what he calls the one-stop shop for a definition of the achievements of the administration. Now, if you look at it, what the Presidential Communications team will probably do is just collate information from different ministries. So they will not necessarily have the details, okay? So, and if you look at that 91-page document, 20 chapters, by the way, what they just provided is just a list, very brief list. And because it's not their primary responsibility to go into the details, that communications team will not be able to do that. Don't be surprised if some of those ministries, or MDAs, to use a general term, still come up with more detailed reports. But the whole idea is that if you don't write your own history, other people will write it for you. Of course, there are sections of that report, as prepared by the Presidential Communications team, that people will raise eyebrows about. Power. People will say, well, what exactly have we done with regard to power? Ease of doing business. What exactly has been done with regard to ease of doing business? Social investment and poverty alleviation. Right? When it is being reported that, in fact, almost all of us are living below the poverty line, both by government departments and also by international communities. Okay, Maybe also you look at other parts of that report, infrastructure, roads. So people are likely to disagree. But yes, with regard to the bills, there have been very significant bills that have been signed into law under this administration. BOFIA, as amended, KAMA as amended, the Petroleum Industry Act, the Prohibition of Discrimination Against Persons with Disability, the Electoral Act, the Not Too Young to Run, the Not Too Young to Run Act was also under this administration. Nigerian Correctional Services Act, and then a long list of executive orders. So that report that has been given, well, it provides a record from their own perspective. But, there will be inaccuracies here and there. When you talk about 119 jobs, when you calculate jobs created under a government, it's not just public sector jobs. How about jobs created by the private sector? How did you provide an environment for private sector, employers of labor to thrive and to create opportunities within the economy? However, what would remain at the end of the day is that every average Nigerian is likely to ask himself, which is the standard test, am I better off 8 years after than I was before the Buhari administration took over? And these are very practical questions. How much was the Congo of Gari in 2015? Okay, yes, in 2005, for example, and now. Okay, how much was a bag of rice? I've used the example of bag of rice on this program before. A loaf of bread. I was shocked the other day when I heard that a loaf of bread now has become, I said, people cannot eat bogon again. So those are the practical questions, that people are likely to ask, beyond all these theoretical things, but from their own perspective, they've provided their own record, but are we better off today? Are you better off? Well, maybe you are wearing sharp tie. But I, about the majority of
Nigerians on the street.
I mean, so well said. Thank you so much, Dr. Master. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
For bringing the numbers to us this morning and the reports from across Africa.